Hi, everyone. According to the American Psychological Association, around 60% of all Americans said they felt stressed due to the social divide in this country. I know I personally felt that social divide, whether it's from work, classroom, or even my own friend group. With a show of hands, how many of you also felt that social divide? Take a look around, that's a lot of you. Now, I would think, why are we so divided? And in my opinion, it's because as a society, we have a hard time reaching the common ground. Now, what exactly is the common ground? And more importantly, how do we reach it? Well, there's a little concept I like to call compromise. Interestingly enough, I used to never compromise. Yeah, I'm giving a TED talk about it. Throughout middle school, my freshman year of high school, I would always stick to my own opinion and my opinion only, which is perfectly okay. However, it's not okay when I was rude to others, ridiculing others for having opposing opinions. Like my mom always tells me, pick and choose your battles, yet I would always battle it out. This very mindset caused me to lose a lot of friends and get into a lot of unnecessary fights. Now, in the past 3 years, I've learned a lot by taking a step back and looking at things from the outside. And what I mean by this is I've taken a step back out of my own perspective and stepped into someone else's perspective. And by this, I gained a newfound respect for people and their opinions. Now, I still don't have to agree with what they're thinking, but I can better see where they're coming from. And one thing that helped me do all this is all the argumentative essays I had to do in English and government class. I thank my teachers for that one. Having to step into the other side's opinion and then rebuttaling against it helped me apply this method to everyday life. By learning to see where the other side is coming from, I found more respect for people and their own opinions. Growing up, I had a hard time understanding why people have certain opinions and why their opinions are so different than mine. By stepping into their shoes and hearing their side of things, it was a lot easier for me to see why they think the way they do. A lot of people have gone through different experiences that I haven't experienced, which shapes their overall view on a lot of different subjects. Being able to understand where people come from and how they form their opinions makes it a lot easier to have a civil discussion and has even helped me become more of an empathetic person. Now, respect is an essential key part of compromise and in defining that common ground. How else are you supposed to gain someone's trust and even respect them if you're just yelling at them and ridiculing them? I know that I wouldn't trust or respect anyone if they were yelling at me for having my own opinion. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Now, if you ever go through a situation where you have to compromise, and if there's no mutual respect for one another, more than likely your conversation is going to end up turning into a fight. Now, once this happens, you dig yourself into a hole. And once you hit rock bottom, you have no other way to go but up. And that way is through compromise. Now, it's harder to compromise the deeper the hole you dig. Now, my whole entire thing about respecting someone's opinion is completely subjective. Say if that person's opinion is hateful or racist, they don't deserve that respect. Now, they may have that opinion because they followed biased news outlets, non-reliable sources and facts, or maybe they're just a hateful person. Hate has no respect in this world, nor should we give it that respect. Now, my advice to you is if you run into a person with a hateful opinion, is to simply walk away or give your opinion on, or give your side on it and agree to disagree. In 1968, President Hugh B. Brown of BYU put into a speech that really stood out to me. Mutual respect is necessary for a democracy to function, and integrating another's patriotism, misrepresenting an opponent's position, and refusing to cooperate even on matters which there is agreement, undermines the relationships needed to resolve those differences. Now, differences are a great thing. It can bring in a lot of diversity, new ideas, and even bring people together. I know that I've made a lot of new friends through going through different experiences and getting out there and experiencing different things. It's good to have these differences in a country in order to compromise the best solutions for the people, because as we all know, it's not one size fits all. Now, this includes both sides' input when compromising, only if it works that way. Isn't it sad that the people who are leading our country and making critical decisions for us have a hard time compromising with one another? Differences can become a bad thing when there's no willingness to work with one another and there's no mutual respect. Now, my teacher sent me a video of an interview being given to the House of Representatives who are going to retire. And they described their experience in the House. And one that stood out to me was Representative John Delaney. This is what he said. Imagine trying to do a business deal, but a week before this deal is being made, your opponent spent a week trashing your name. And then they try and come to you and say, let's try and work on this together. Now, I try to apply this situation to my life because, it's not every day that a teenage girl is in the House of Representatives. So I am in English class, so I applied the situation in English class. So I imagined as one of my classmates talking crap about me or posting bad things about me on social media, and then they came up to me and said, hey, I need your help on a group project. Do you want to be in my group? Now, I would be less willing to work with them after they just spent a week trashing my name. Another one that also stood out to me was Tom Rooney. This is what he had to say. If you're seen socially with the other side, it just wouldn't be a good deal, and that's a problem. Why is it so bad to be seen socially with the other side? Isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? Isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? We're trying to work out or work with one another even though we do have a lot of differences. Working out differences in a two-party system, and even in everyday life, would be a lot easier if civil discourse was more common in our culture and society. Now, I keep talking about civil discourse. So what exactly is that? Well, it's to have a plentiful debate/conversation with the opposing side of your opinion. It's a conversation, not a fight. It's hearing the other side out in a civil manner. Now, according to the United States courts, the ground rules into having a civil discussion are as follows. You have to be truthful, calm, considerate of your opponent's point of view, and mindful of your facial expressions, which I still have to work on to this day. Now, a lot of debates that I've personally partaken in and witnessed did not follow the ground rules to having a civil discussion. And through this arose a lot of hurt feelings due to being attacked on a personal level. And the whole entire point of civil discourse is to achieve something, and being attacked on a personal level and attacking others doesn't achieve anything. And from this, we can take a step forward in defining the common ground through compromising and civil discourse. Now, around 77% of Americans in 2020 said that Americans are more divided now than ever. Now, I try to think back to a time where, in my life, I witnessed unity in our country. And I couldn't think of anything. In fact, I think that I've seen more division than unity. So this made me have to think way back to the very beginning of our country. And from that, the father of this country, George Washington. And in my opinion, George Washington was the father of compromise, unity, and civil discourse. And in his farewell address, he warned Americans of this political divide. Something that stood out to me in his farewell addresses, by which cunning, ambitious, and unprincipled men will be enabled to subvert the power of the people and to assert for themselves the reins of government, destroying afterwards the very engines which have lifted them to unjust dominion. So basically, in other words, the political divide will undermine the country and everything this country is built upon. This is so evident in today's politics. It's everyone for themselves trying to steal away power from the other side. Politics in this country is straying away from the basic principles of this country's origins: unity and compromise. Why can't we come together as brothers, sisters, and others and do what's right by the people? Now, as I've matured and I've grown up and I strayed away from my old ways, I've learned how to participate in a civil discussion. I've learned a great deal about myself and others through this, and I've learned how to walk in a mile in someone's shoes, and from that, a more empathetic person. I also opened up the door to a lot of subjects that I would ignore, and I would participate in a lot of discussions that I would walk away from. Civil discourse has helped me change my life and even my mindset. I hope for my future that there's a growth in civil discourse, and that my generation is the change. I hope to close that social divide and step forward in finding the common ground. Now, I want you to apply everything I talked about today, next time you have a debate, or maybe next time you see an opinion you may not agree with. And with that, I'll leave you the importance of civil discourse, compromise, and respect, and why it's a crucial part in your everyday life in this country. Find the common ground. Thank you.